Hey everybody, this is Ted DiBiase, the $1 Million Man. And if you want to get your money's worth, stay right here because you're listening to Knockouts and 3 Counts. And remember, everybody's got a price to the $1 Million Man.
This is Don West here, and I'm telling you, Knockouts and 3 Counts is the podcast, baby. Make sure that's the one you check out, because, buddy, like me, they're the real deal, baby.
This is Jake the Snake Roberts. Just letting you know, you need to listen to Knockouts and 3 Counts, or you'll see that damn snake again.
This is the Ring of Honor World Television Champion, a.k.a. Shane T, boy, the baddest champion you ever seen, boy. And you're listening to Knockouts and 3 Counts.
Ooh, what up, everybody? This is Kyle, and you are watching, listening, whatever the hell you're doing. You're watching Knockouts and 3 Counts, and hey, we appreciate you for it. Another Tuesday night, and that means we are live. Corey, how the fuck you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Another solid week. Getting to that halfway point. Nice break in the week with a fight card in the middle of the week. We'll kind of break up the anticipation for the Conor pay-per-view on the weekend. So I'm doing good, man. Honestly, I'm doing good. What about you guys?
Hey, man, I had a damn good weekend. Hayden, what about you?
Yeah, man, good weekend. With the fights going on what was that, Saturday, which is amazing card, to start the year, and to have some fights in the middle of the week kind of, make me somewhat excited for something during the week, while at work. So I can't really complain right before Conor's fight. So yeah, can't really complain here.
If you guys follow us at KO3C Pod, like you should be doing, you would know that Kevin and I were just in Texas for Pele Pro Wrestling. So we had past guests of the show, Garrison Creed, who you saw with us last week. And we had Sam Adonis down there as well. Sam became the inaugural Pele Pro Wrestling champion. He left bloody as shit. And we found out that he's going to be facing off with AAA superstar Psycho Clown come February 12th, live on Fight TV. And breaking news for all you motherfuckers, I'm headed back down to Texas. So make sure you hit that subscribe button so you can see what's going down. And if you haven't done so already, check out the link right there, because I have a full vlog already put together for you guys so you can see exactly what we got into. And if you watch that, you're going to see who won that axe throwing championship. I know who did it, but you should too. Hit that link and tell us what you think. In the wrestling world, there was also something that went down this weekend. You had Impact Wrestling Hard to Kill. I don't know what your guys' thoughts on that were, but you had Kenny Omega and Doc Gallows and Carl Anderson, who formerly, if you know their past, were part of the Bullet Club, came out in full Bullet Club gear. And it was a great match against Rich Swann and Moose and Chris Sabin, because Alex Shelley was replaced. I don't know. The Bullet Club thing intrigues me because Bullet Club is owned by New Japan. So I'm hoping that maybe because you're seeing that, maybe that means that there could be some kind of partnership between New Japan too, which I think would be badass if you could bring them into the matchups that you're seeing there, with Kenny already having ties to AAA, having the AAA Mega Championship. Hayden, what are your thoughts on what we saw from Hard to Kill with that, and Kenny Omega and them coming out in the Bullet Club?
Well,
and
to be
the
honest,
potential for the working relationship with New Japan.
Yeah, and what I told you earlier, I said I had no idea until you told me about that, so I didn't watch it, but did a little bit of research on it.
I'm just saying, I think the overall idea that you're getting all these companies working together, that you're getting all these potential matchups that are getting thrown in.
That
Go ahead,
seems
Corey,
to
if
be
you
a
wanna
real
go ahead.
common theme lately. It really honestly does. But go ahead.
No, you're fine. You go ahead first, man. You start out pretty well. Go ahead.
No, I mean, it just seems to be a real common theme lately. I mean, not to jump on your point, but that's
No, you good.
in all the promotions and stuff that we've been seeing. Like you were saying, Kyle, I believe it was 2 episodes ago, we kind of got into the fact that there's been so many cross promotion stuff on the wrestling front lately. I believe it was AEW and Impact was the example that you were giving.
AEW and Impact so far, and that's why we're saying, you had on Impact's pay-per-view, you had, basically the Bullet Club, versus their champion Moose and Chris Sabian. What Sabian? Good God, fuck, I can't talk today. Anyways,
welcome to the club.
I mean, hey, it happens to the best of us. I did a lot of talking this weekend in that video, so cut me some slack.
I hear you.
Anyways, like I said, I just like the potential possibilities for what that creates.
Yeah, same here.
I've always said I hated that it was so. I mean, don't get me wrong. I get it that everybody's going to be like tied to the promotion that they're signed to. I get that. I understand that. But what I'm saying is, now that you're getting all this stuff and have, Kenny Omega's going to Mexico, you could send Cody Rhodes to Japan, all kinds of, it just makes for cool matchups. I'm interested to see how it plays out and where we go with it. But as we talked about, there was also a UFC fight, and
before we jump into that, one thing I do want to mention and actually kind of ask you honestly, is that what intrigues you more with the indies? Is the fact that these guys are able to jump promotions essentially so frequently and stay busy across such a vast array of options, I guess you could say, where you see, like you were saying, with people with like the contracts and stuff like that to the bigger networks, even if you're a huge fan of them, you might only see them once every other month or something. It seems like the indie guys have a lot more ability to promote themselves.
Well, they do.
Because of the fact
it doesn't seem like it. It's fact.
Yeah.
In the indies, man, you can do what you want, but that's what's been intriguing with AEW and why everybody's been surprised at how things have played out. Because, here's a perfect example. John Moxley just lost their title, but he was the champion and was also simultaneously the IWGP US champion in Japan. So, you wouldn't see that in WWE, man.
Right.
Really? Not in modern day.
Just another thing I wanted to add too is the cross promotion. I did read something a while ago, maybe a month ago. Somebody asked Triple H about doing an AEW crossover with WWE matches, and he didn't take it out of the possibility, but he said you can never say never, and they may work something out like that. I don't know if it's going to happen, but I'd love to see something like that.
Maybe an NXT AEW.
That would be dope. Yeah,
that would be. That would be the closest one. But at the same time, I think if anything, what Triple H is more talking to, if I had to guess who I would think it would be, I think if they worked with anyone, it would be somebody like maybe an MLW or something like that. Because
why? Just the fact that they're not as direct of an competitor.
Yeah, because because the fact that they're a direct opponent like that, I find, especially with when you've got like JR on the commentary, you've got
the
Taz
conflict of
over
interest,
there,
pretty much in basic terms.
Cody Rhodes, you got. Granted, Cody's been away from WWE for long enough, but.
I was talking to a buddy of mine about the podcast earlier at work, and he was bringing up the fact that it was a big thing for him about the Sting coming back, and that's AEW,
right.
Yeah. And he's not even a regular wrestling fan, but he was saying his Facebook was blowing up all.
But that tells you, that tells you the star power of what Sting brings, and that's why I was saying.
That's why they wouldn't want to give that kind of shine to a direct competitor.
Exactly, they're not gonna. There's no. Especially when Sting just left WWE and all that, man, AEW and WWE, that's not going to happen. But like I said, WWE, I think at most, if you were going to see it, I think you're going to see it in NXT. All you guys who are watching, if you guys got any comments on it, I'd love to hear what you guys think. But all I'm saying is it just makes it intriguing for what we can see in the world of pro wrestling.
Yeah.
But there was also a couple of badass fights that went down this past weekend.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
right.
Really, the whole fucking card was like almost all knockouts.
3 out of the 5
all,
main card, I
all
believe.
of the
Yeah.
main card. The prelims did have some incredible fights on there.
I
but
didn't
they
get
were,
to see
they
the
were all
prelims because they introduced me to Rick and Morty, so I was.
I really enjoyed. Normally, some of the heavyweight fights can be real shit shows. I really
Yeah.
enjoyed the heavyweight fight that they had on there. And then actually the curtain jerker fight, which yet again can usually kind of be hit or miss. Austin Ledette, I believe was his name, or I tweeted about him on the night, but I forget his last name off the top of my head. But he looked incredible. He really showed a huge progression in his skills and in between fights. I was really impressed there.
Some of the prelim fights were good.
I noticed a couple people were kind of shitting on the prelims a little bit, and I didn't feel that way. I kind of felt like it was a good way to lead into the main card. My only complaint was that girl that was punching air for 3 rounds. That was rough, man. She was backpedaling and punching air, the worst I've seen in a long time.
Yeah,
I mean,
a lot of people have.
I'm trying to hit her.
A lot of people have hated on the prelims. I listen to all MMA podcasts, and all of them are like, They just, they said it wasn't that great. I said, it wasn't terrible. I mean, the first fight of the night
at the end
here.
Of the day, it's a fucking fight.
Right.
It's a fight. It ain't always gonna be pretty. It ain't supposed to be pretty. And that's why the ones that can make it look pretty, that's what makes them special, because they can make it look pretty.
I mean, the first fight I'm looking here, I was watching with Jacob Coburn and Austin Lingo. I thought that was a great fight. It went to decision. I thought that went back and forth.
And that's my point. Like, it doesn't, like, I feel like in 2020, man, we've got some MMA snobs. Let's call it what it is.
I'm glad to see the MMA
snobs, man. It is, because if it isn't a knockout, or they don't rip their arm off, or they don't choke somebody to sleep, oh shit, they fucking suck. Well, why do they gotta suck? Why do they suck? Because, like, I mean, why can't they both just be good?
All right, so you know Joe just as well, so I ain't got to explain nothing to you, Kyle. But we got a good buddy of our friend, me and Kyle's friend. Outside of the podcast, Joe.
No, Manny.
Shout out to Joe if he happens to be watching. But either way, he was asking me kind of what's the difference between like LFA and the regional CFFCs and stuff like that. The not regional, but the second tier compared to the UFC. What's the real difference? He was essentially asking me, and I was saying every single one of those fights and fighters that are in the UFC were main events and won in those other promotions, and that's what got them to the UFC. So like you say, even though they might not look incredibly impressive with who they may get matched with in the UFC, you got to remember these are essentially 2 main event fighters from a different promotion going at each other. So
it's a good way of looking at it.
Always be the most impressive, but you got to remember the skill level so high. It's not.
And another thing is,
and we're a far ways from when you would go into, like, okay, let's look at the first few UFCs, right? You'd have a jiu-jitsu guy,
right?
You'd have a boxing guy, you'd have a sambo guy, you'd have a judo guy, you'd have a whatever it was, and they would have like one discipline. Now you gotta be good at all that shit.
Now you get the Carlos Condit Matt Brown fight, which was a literal example of all.
Oh man, that was a great fight too.
That fight was beautiful, bro.
And another thing I'll add as to why people thought the prelims weren't great was because all of them went to decision. Now, granted, I know that doesn't seem all that entertaining, but you know what? Fight's a fight, and you got to take it or leave it. I mean, that's just the way it is. Not all of them are going to be slobber knockers and knockouts or submissions, but.
And I mean, I understand there needs to be entertainment value.
Right, of course. Yeah, but we can't control how the fights go. They just go how they go. And that's just the way it is, All
right. So the 2 main fights that we need to talk about from last weekend, obviously, is the co-main event between Carlos Condit and Matt Brown. And hot damn, say whatever you want about age, but dang.
Right.
Yep.
Right.
Well, that's every time me and you watch fights together, Kyle, and they have one of these vets out here fighting. I say, isn't it so much more entertaining when they just match these 2 veterans up against each other and we get a real skill test of two guys.
Well,
at the
this
later
fight's been
stages of
supposed
their
to
career.
happen forever.
Well,
Yeah, for what, 6-7 years in the making?
Yeah, dude, like they've been
Anticipation
talking
in
about
that
it's been
regard.
supposed to happen, and that was one of the biggest things that Matt Brown was harping on going into the fight.
Yeah.
You know, he was harping on the fact he's like, well, he's talking about how he wanted to fight me back in the day. Well, he should have wished that he fought me back in the day because now I'm older and wiser and all this. It's like, man, hey, I don't blame you, brother. Sell that fucking fight. Do what you got to do. But I just think it's kind of funny that that's what we're, that's what we were saying. But
With that being said, though, in this particular instance, do you think there was anything diminished from the performance we would have seen if it was matched up? If it would have played out 5 years ago, 6 years ago, was the performance any different than what you think you saw last Saturday?
Maybe just a little bit sharper.
A little bit.
I don't think you would have saw like a huge difference. It's like I said, it was a great fight. And I will say that I do think it might have been a tad bit better just for the fact that, you've got two guys in there that are wily veterans now, not to mention they were good before they were veterans. So it's like now you've got two seasoned dudes going at it. What's going to happen? So I still think we got a great fight. I think the only difference you really saw is that maybe they were just a little bit sharper.
Yeah. I thought it was going to be more of a stand-up, 90% of the time. I thought somebody was going to get knocked out for sure.
Matt Brown for trying to take it out of
and when it was a grappling match, I said, I've never seen Matt Brown wrestle like that. I don't think ever, at least for that amount of time. And Carlos
he had really good timing on his takedown.
Right. And Carlos, I mean, he's always getting taken down, but he's no slouch on the ground either. I wouldn't say that he's terrible, but, he can hold his own. But I was shocked. I was shocked at how good they were both, grappling was on the ground. And, the decision was a little bit off. I don't think it was 30-27. But I'm not mad about who won.
28.
But 29-28, I was really upset with the decision. I said, there's no way 30-27 all across the board.
29.
I didn't agree with that at all.
Yeah, especially like you say, across the board. It's just it's almost a slap in the face to like what Matt Brown was able to accomplish.
Yeah, I mean, if Carlos won 29-28, I can agree with that, but not 30-27 across the board. There's no way. I can't agree with that.
I forget.
29.
I wish I could give,
but at the same time though, I didn't like the tweet that Matt Brown put out right after the fight.
Agreed.
I didn't like that shit.
I do remember. I don't know exactly what he said, but I do remember what he did post. I don't remember exactly what he said.
He said he was basically saying that it was bullshit and that he was cheated. And
he got to base that off emotion too at the same time. So
what he said is he watched the fight back. He full-heartedly thought that he won the first round, which I feel like a lot of people.
I think so.
He won the first round,
and then he gave Carlos the second round, and then he said that the third round was definitely his, in his opinion, after rewatching the fight. In my opinion, I disagree. I thought it was definitely towards Condit because I felt like he had the momentum in the third round, was able to get off more, was able to reverse positions once Matt Brown was able to try to get to the wrestling.
Right.
I personally
that switchy hit was beautiful.
Yeah.
And I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the initial cut that he got was from hitting his face off the cage.
Yep. The commentary.
No, I didn't recognize that one. Yeah, I got to go back and watch that one.
Yeah.
The initial cut was because he got hit off the cage, but obviously, Carlos Condit is a fucking surgeon on the ground and is cutting people open. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's never laying on his back, not moving. And then he hit that beautiful switch at the end of the third round, put him on his back, and then started blasting him from the top.
Right.
So for me, I think there was no question that Condit won, but I don't think it was 30-27.
Right.
I would say Brown won round one, and then he lost 2 and 3. And in my opinion, there's not even an argument to be said that he lost round 3 because he got reversed and he ended the round on his back.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. Yeah, I just didn't like that decision all across the board, but overall, I think it was a great fight for what it was. So
that goes back again to something I've said for years. Where do these find these fucking judges, man? Hot dang.
Well,
it's never going to happen, my friend. At least not for a long time.
one thing I want to get your guys' thoughts on, because I've heard it argued both ways, and actually Dana brought it up, I believe, in one of his last major press conference. Kansas is doing open scoring. We've seen it a lot with LFA. We've seen it a lot with Invicta at this point.
Mm-hmm.
What's your guys' thoughts on it? I personally enjoy it. I think it adds to the fight because it takes away from the bad judging. Essentially, you kind of are seeing if it's getting fucked in real time. Essentially,
I love it. I think they should. I advocate for it. I love it because if you have somebody who's winning or supposedly think that they're losing, and they look at the the screen and say, okay, I'm down 2 rounds to none. I got to pick it up. I got to go for a knockout submission. So you're going to see, some guy having that sense of urgency, to finish a fight, as opposed to now where you say, your coach can just easily tell you, yeah, you're winning this round. You're winning this round. But, in reality,
not always
it's
the case.
probably not going to be always the case. So I think open scoring I think they should do it. I don't think they will. I think I read something that Dana's not going to do it.
I think that was one of the best things that ever happened to boxing.
He came out very against it. He said essentially that it was.
I think eventually
he said that he's watched examples, which Dana's words, take it.
You won't ever take them seriously, right? But I mean, I think they should advocate for it. Will it happen? Probably not anytime soon, but I think it will eventually happen at some point. I think.
Yeah.
My thing is though. Like I said, I still say there needs to be like different criteria on what these judges are getting picked on, man.
Absolutely.
Hot dang, man. Sometimes some of these decisions, man.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, you're playing with people's lives at this point, not even
careers,
just for
titles, money.
Like, man, you go in there and take a beating like that, and then you get screwed out of a decision that you should have won. Right. Now you took all that beating and you got less bread to be able to pay for it, because I feel like a lot of fans today don't realize how much money gets taken out of these checks, man. Like,
that's
you see what they 100%. Got paid out, but then you got to think, you got a gym that's going to, you got an agent that's going to, you got a nutritionist that's going to, if you got one of those, if you got
partners
like a massage therapist, you got a whatever the hell. And if you're in the UFC, you don't get the sponsorship money for it.
Right.
So, I mean, you might get sponsorship money, but it ain't like what you would have got.
Not prior to this deal, no. Not prior to the Reebok deal or whatnot. No.
But I'm very curious to see what happens with the Venom deal coming in with the sponsorships. I'm wondering if they're going to maybe welcome in maybe single sponsor patches or something where it's not necessarily the whole shorts or a billboard, but one, 3x3 essentially patch or something like that. I know they did it in the Reebok deal with like
the whole fighter kit,
Monster.
The whole fighter kit deal. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they would do it with like Monster Energy and stuff like that. The stuff that already sponsors the UFC. So does it have to be the same way where it's a good for both guys essentially, or are they going to allow people to make some money? Because it's been very open. Like you were saying, you listen to many of the podcasts. So do I. It's been very open that fighters lose a ton once that deal hit in.
Yeah.
It's went from people making 50 grand plus off just sponsorships per fight to making, maybe if they've been in the UFC for 5 fights, I think they get 4 grand for their Reebok.
Yeah, if you're in the prelims and you lose a decision that looked like 95% of people thought you won, you're probably going to make 10 grand, or maybe even at that, maybe 5 to 6 grand. And then all that money is going to be gone because you got to pay your coaches and partners and nutritionists and what Kyle said, everyone under the sun. And that affects you. It affects you as a title contender. It could affect you as a main card fighter. I mean, it affects everything. It's just not just one thing.
And that's one thing we keep saying too, as much as I love it because it really gives these guys a huge showcase. And you've seen a lot of guys kind of skyrocket from the platform. But with Dana White doing as much as he is with the Contender Series, man, those guys are coming in on Contender Series contracts. And those contracts are notoriously on the lower end for the UFC pay.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they're smart on doing that. And when I was listening to Weighing In podcast with Big John McCarthy and Josh Thompson, who do an excellent job on there, Big John McCarthy said, their plan for that is to get fighters on a cheaper on a cheaper pay scale. You sign them to a couple fights, and then as they work their way up, they will start getting a little bit more money. But it's a cheaper way. I know I'm saying it incorrectly possibly, but it's a cheaper way to get them in. You're not paying them as much on the contract, and then
a lot of guys, like for Miles, for example, you know, he's
Mhm.
talked about this on his YouTube channel. If you haven't checked it out, I'll put it in the description
I definitely will for sure.
to the video. He talks about it like when he first got signed to the UFC, he was signed on an Ultimate Fighter contract. So he was signed to, I'm going to make X and X.
Right.
Didn't matter if the level of his competition was going up.
Sure.
That's what he was signed in for to fight for.
Right.
So, and then so he had sponsors back then, you know what I'm saying? But now, you know, once Reebok come in, you don't have that, and you're,
Mhm.
you know, you're locked into a however many fight contract. I think it was a 6-fight contract, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So we talked about the co-main event. Let's talk about the main event, man. Max Holloway is motherfucking savage. And Corey, like I told you on the show when we talked about this last week with Garrison Creed, if I'm Max Holloway, I am sitting on the couch. I am sitting on the couch. You either give me a title shot or nothing.
Yeah. 1000% agree.
I mean, it's
1000%
well
agree.
deserved. It's not even a thing. I think Dana White's actually already came out and said in his, because he stayed on Fight Island, so there's been tons of media this week. Yeah, he's already kind of came out and said that is the fight to make. It was
like,
already it was already, I believe how he worded it was already the fight to make, even with Ortega involved, but Volkanovski wanted different competition.
In his words, when I listened to what Dana said, I think we have to make this fight. Those were his words. We have to. When you say the boss say that, you have to do it.
Yeah.
There's just no other way around it. Whoever wins now, no disrespect to Brian Ortega, I'm a fan, but this is business. And Max Holloway just went up to you again. And you know
give
what I mean?
Ortega a shot.
I'm not saying don't, but I'm saying if they did somehow say, okay, Max is going to take over for Ortega's spot, I wouldn't be shocked. That's just a business. That's just the way it is.
Yeah.
But
no,
you know,
not when
honestly,
you've already advertised a fight. That ain't happening.
The timing works out well too, with the fact of the fight, Volkanovski and Ortega just kind of being around the corner in early March. It's essentially a month away at this point.
Oh yeah, no, I know they're going to say. I'm not saying they will do it, but I'm just saying it's happened before. But no, Ortega deserves it. No, I'm not saying he doesn't. Yeah. But the business, we've seen how it works. It's been done before.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't be surprised here. But with the fight, was it being March 27th? I believe
No, I think they're the
only way that's happening.
What they did
is they did somebody gets hurt.
Right.
For the month of March, they're doing 2 pay-per-views. And the first one, I believe, is March 8th or 6th or something like that.
And then the 23rd or something with Stipe and Francis supposedly, and then Volkan.
Exactly.
I'm sorry.
If I'm not mistaken, he's fighting on the earlier card. If I'm not mistaken, he might be on the later card, but I believe it's on the earlier pay-per-view card.
They're trying to put Alex and Ortega with a co-main with Francis and Stipe as a main event for that card. But no, I Ortega and Alex is going to be a great fight, but Max is next in line. I don't care who wins.
I mean,
it's just the next in line. So,
well, I went into this fight already, Kyle. Me and you had quite a few conversations about it, even publicly on the show. I considered Max the uncrowned champ going into the fight, and I feel like a lot of people did. Even though Volkanovski, I give him as much respect as I can. Saying what I just said,
championship advantage.
Yeah,
he earned that by beating him. He won the first fight.
Still, I respect him and what he does in the cage, and the ability to feint and stop Max's momentum was insane. But I still thought he won the second fight.
Same.
The first fight was even incredibly close. So
look, he got the first fight. Fine.
Yep,
he earned the championship advantage. Yep. But in that second fight, man, I'm sorry. I think Max Holloway won that fight.
100%.
All you guys watch, if you watch Max Holloway versus Volkanovski, the second fight, who won? And if you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't already done so, hit that damn subscribe button. It's right there.
95% of people thought Max even won. That's coming from everybody. So I mean, it's no knock on Alex. I mean, he didn't do anything. I mean, that's just judge's decision. No. But you know, we all thought Max won, and that's the reality of it. So
I was watching yet again to jump into other podcast questions, but sometimes they're just so good I have to ask them on our own show. does Calvin Kattar really lose much in this performance? I mean, I know he got outclassed.
The only thing he
incredibly.
lost in that one is that because he got outclassed. Do I think he falls down the rankings too far? Not really.
No.
But I also think that he does have to fall a little bit because he I mean, yeah, he didn't get he didn't get finished real quick or nothing, but at the same time, Max was putting it on him from start to finish.
Mm-hmm.
And
110%.
he looked good doing it.
I don't think he loses much stock in it. Obviously, we're going to say he's a tough dude. He's got a lot of heart. He didn't get finished. And, he was still throwing, shots, heavy shots, even in the 4th and 5th round. But, I mean, like Kyle said, he'll probably fall a little through the rankings, not, too far low. Yeah. But, I mean, there are great fights for him there. His stock is up. So I don't see it being too big of an issue for him.
I personally, predicting the future here, I would personally love to see him versus Zombie. Him versus Korean Zombie would be my matchup. Both of them coming off a loss. Both of them, like we kind of alluded to, both of them kind of getting outclassed in their last fight. Zombie didn't look the greatest against Ortega. Kattar
didn't look the greatest.
Right, he didn't
man, Ortega, hold that man.
That's what I'm saying it lightly because I love Zombie and I
like Zombie
Kattar.
too, but
who doesn't like Zombie? But man, he almost got zombied himself, to be honest with you. Like Ortega, just zombie to zombie almost. It's just like he couldn't do anything. Like
that's why I say I would love to see the matchup between the two. Both of them kind of need to show that they still got it. And what a better way than matching two people coming off of a single loss, but were very much climbing in the rankings before.
Yeah, there's a lot of good fights for Calvin in that division. I don't think it's going to set him back far. I mean, if he can be 1 or 2 fights away from that title, realistically, how it is now. So yeah, he'll be all right. He's gonna. I don't know what his medical suspension is. I think 6 months or so. I know he had a broken nose and something else. His coach said, but take some time to heal. He took, 1,000 shots, for God's sakes. I mean, whatever shots he took, 600, 700 of them, whatever he took.
The UFC record of landed shots. That's how many.
Yeah.
That's all you have to say.
Gonna need some time to heal and rest up, recoup, go back to the drawing board, and he'll get some good fights, and he'll get back in there. It's a learning lesson. Obviously, Max is the elite of the elite. There's no shame in losing to that man. So,
yeah.
All right. So I'm looking at the card here for this fight night that we have that's going down tomorrow night.
Before we jump into that, I want to get your guys' quick thoughts on the hype beast that is Jaquan Buckley getting the KO knockout against him. What was your guys' thoughts on that?
I mean,
UFC was doing a huge promotion for him over the last couple months since he went viral. Dana White even came out in one of the big social media posts coming into the year that was one of his top fighters to watch. It was Kazmat, Holland, and him.
Joaquin Buckley,
So,
look, man, what did we just say? This shit ain't ballet.
This is a fight, man. Anything can happen at any time.
It's a fight. Mm-hmm. I mean, what are you gonna? I mean, yeah, it sucks because especially with him training out of a gym here in Michigan, even though he's from St. Louis, look, dude, I was hoping the guy would keep doing well. But it happens. He got caught. Now we're going to see how he bounces back. Chaos just took a loss, but we're going to see how he bounces back. I don't see any reason why they can't get right back up and get in the damn win column.
Yeah.
No, I'm not saying that at all. I know
you're not. I know you're not. I'm not saying you are. I'm just saying, the only thing you can say is time will tell.
Yeah. And it was a heck of a knockout too. Normally you don't get, in that fashion, it's pretty tough. You don't see that often too much, but it was a great fight. He was doing pretty well, but you get caught, man. And it's just a matter of how you get back up and come back and fight. Can you come back and win 2 or 3 in a row? Do you look good doing it? Do you, how are you mentally? How are you physically? You know what I mean? So I think he'll bounce back. He's still fairly young. I don't know his age, but I know he's still fairly young.
I believe he's like 26, 27.
Oh,
so like you say, incredibly young and he was late to MMA as well. So he's just
and the thing is, and one quick note, I was actually listening to the Weighing In podcast and they're talking about him. They're calling him a tweener because he's in between 185 and 170, though 185 he's shorter, but he's got the, he's thick, obviously, he's a big guy, powerful striker and whatnot, but at 170, could he I don't know if he could physically make it. He's huge, but he's in between. So
If
he's
you
gonna
let
have to figure out how to.
if you let those titties shrink for a couple weeks, I bet he could. He's got them. He's got them boys ballooned up. You see him in
But
them.
if he gets a good amount of fights to get him back on top, and get it back up there, but he'll be fine. I mean, like Kyle said, it happens. Fights happen, knockouts happen. You get caught anytime, anywhere, any place, anybody. Does not matter who you are.
Yep.
Hey man, it happens. It is what it is.
That's right.
I feel like this card that we got tomorrow, I mean, there's some good fights on it, but at the same time, I kind of also feel like it's also one of those fight cards that's kind of like, yeah, but it's not knocking my socks off.
Well, it was supposed to be Hamzat on it, right? With Leon
That's what I was
Edwards, I think it
gonna
was.
say.
And then it was supposed to be Coleman, Kies, and Magny, I think, right?
Yeah.
I believe it was.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it was
would have knocked your
supposed to
socks
be
off there,
incredible.
Kyle.
Yeah, it was
If
supposed
Hamzat
to
was
be an
fighting.
incredible card, but because of both fighters caught COVID. So
Yeah,
Hey,
both
man.
crazy.
And that's another thing that we can talk about. And, for those of you guys who are joining the stream and all that, welcome and let us know what you think. But I don't know, man. That's just the new normal. I mean, I feel like until we can get COVID under control in America, which unfortunately doesn't seem like that's going to happen anytime fucking soon.
Right.
That's going to be the new norm. COVID's always going to be a factor in every fight from here on out.
Yeah. Well, they rebooked it for another time. Hopefully it just happens. So we'll be all right. We'll be all right. But we got a good main event here. I think it's going to be a
No, sure. We still
Absolutely.
got good fights. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying it's not like you
Doesn't
compare
get you all that
this card to
excited
what we're going to
compared to-
see on Saturday.
No.
See, all right. So I pulled up the card in anticipation for the show, and I actually had a couple fights that I wanted to get your guys' thoughts on. I'm not.
Well, I've got a few that I was going to point out.
If you guys aren't super
let's see if
familiar
yours
with the
are different than
fighters,
mine.
just say pass. I'll be fine with that. But I really actually like this Roxanne Martifar.
That was the fight I was going to say first.
Versus Viviana Araujo. I'm so terrible with these Brazilian last names.
You're looking at John Anik trying to pronounce it during live broadcast, so you'll be all right.
Yeah,
John Anik has got that stash going though. Hot damn.
Not a fan of it, but who am I to say to anything John Anik is? So he's a man.
So solo mustache.
What
is a
up,
hard
Dave?
look to pull off, man.
He might be the one to pull off. Very few can. I'm not a big fan of it, but he can pull it off. So I'm not mad at him.
So many people were loving Paul Felders when he was growing his, and I'm like, man, it made him look like Ned Flanders to me. That's all I could see the whole fight week, and I'm like, I love Paul Felder too much for this, man. I can't.
You're right. Me too, man. Me too. Yeah,
Corey, why are you trying to call your pops Flanders, man? Your pops is watching the show, and you call the man Flanders? Shit.
Not my pops.
Yeah, dude.
No,
Look.
Ned Flanders was.
I'm just talking shit.
But in all honesty, though, this week's middle of the week card, I want to get your guys' thoughts. With it being an early fight card like this, I don't feel like it's getting a ton of attention. The fact that the prelim start at 9 o'clock, I believe the main card starts at noon.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your guys' thoughts? I mean, that's an incredibly early start time. It's not getting a lot of hype.
I don't like it because
I think
I can't really watch it. I mean, I could watch some of the prelims, but I'm gonna miss the main card.
Yeah. I think it was
too.
all exclusively done basically because of what was the previous main event being. The fact
Yeah,
that
I
both
think they
of
had
them
to
are
switch it
European
up
guys.
a little. Yeah, they had to switch it up a little bit because they had Hamzat Leon and then all the other fights. So I guess they had to switch it. They got Connor and Dustin and that whole card. So I mean, it's better to be at 9 a.m. than it would be at 7 a.m. like they used to do in Asia, where they used to do in Thailand or not Thailand. I'm sorry, in like Beijing or Japan, wherever they used to do it. So I mean, I'd rather take 9 a.m. over 7 a.m. Granted, I'll be at work. I'll try my best to stay off social media because that can spoil some of the fights on my own. But I'll watch the replay when I get home, so I'm not mad about that.
But in reference to the fight you were talking about, Corey, I'm looking forward to that fight. As you guys know, past guest of the show, Tara La Rosa, which is why you need to hit that subscribe button down there so you can go check that out. Tara La Rosa has quite the past with Miss Roxanne Modafferi, and I am quite the fan of Roxanne's work. I mean, hell, her coach was a fan of what we were doing last week with LFA Fighter of the Year, Josh Fremd over there. So I'm just saying. But anyways, I like this fight. Roxanne is an OG of the game. She's been putting some wins together. I want to see what she can do with it. It would be dope to see her kind of just make that one last push to me. I don't know if she can do it, but at the same time, I like it. And Arujal is a good test. If she wins, it's a good win over a veteran. But if we're making picks for this one, I'm going with the experience and Roxanne Modafferi.
I agree with that mostly. I really am curious to see what yet again terrible with the last name Arujo, what she brings to the table, because she's had very not hit and miss, because even in her I believe solo loss or maybe 2 in the UFC, but in her loss she didn't have the same fight, I guess you could say, in that fight. I'm really curious to see what she brings up against the vet, essentially. But I do lean towards Roxanne.
All right, so you got Roxanne, I got Roxanne. Hayden, who do you got?
Yeah, so I was just trying to take a look here on Viviane Araujo. I'm trying to remember who her last fight was, because I know I remember seeing her last fight, but I'll probably take Roxanne here by decision. I mean, like I said, she's the OG of the game. Very technical, has an excellent ground game, and she's a fan of anime. So who wouldn't like her, right?
Yep, absolutely. She's
and I'm not an anime nerd by any means, but I love Dragon Ball Z, so I'll take that, up on her. But she's tough, man. When I saw her against Macy Barber, I was like, oh my god. Oops.
Yeah, and that's yet again. That's what UFC keeps doing, essentially, is I feel like they want to give these young up-and-comers the chance to kind of build their name.
Who was Vivian's last fight? Because I'm trying to remember here, and I'm trying to find it up. But I do remember seeing her fight recently. So, yeah, it's a good test for sure. But I think it's a good fight overall. But I do have whenever Kyle gets all set up here.
I have it pulled up here, so
yeah.
Her last fight was a win against Montana De La Rosa.
De La Rosa, that's right. Yep. Kyle, you still with us,
all right, boys. Well, we're running short on time here, so let's hop to the main event, the co-main and main event for this card. You've got, let's see, what do we got here? In the co-main, we've got Warley Alves versus Munir Lazzez. That's how we're going to go with this one.
Madir Lazzez. I've watched a couple of his interviews coming into the fight.
So who are you picking?
Go ahead, Corey.
I believe that he's the younger, much stronger. Warley Alves has impressed me in a couple of his fights in the UFC, but then he's also kind of, like I was alluding to with Araujo, he's kind of hit and miss as well. He has some really incredible performances, and then he also has ones where he almost kind of just doesn't show up as much. And from what I've noticed, Madar Lazzez is Darren Till's training partner, and Darren Till speaks incredibly highly of him. Incredibly highly of him. He's actually the guy that got him into the UFC, essentially. So I kind of I lean towards the young guys. I do, more often than not. It's going to be, in my eyes, a fight of, can he stay off the ground with the crafty vet who is very good with submissions.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I see the fight. Is if he's able to stay off the ground, I definitely think Lazzez will be able to pull it off. But other than that, Warley Alves definitely has a serious shot.
Yeah,
I'm going with Alves on this fight as well.
Yep.
Like you said, Lazzez is not a slouch by any means, but for me, I got to go with Alves in this one. We're obviously running short on time for the regular show, so this Thursday we're gonna come out with a time. Stay tuned to all the social media. We're gonna do our version of the UFC pre-show for the McGregor and Poirier card, because we're running short on time, but I've got plenty to say about that shit. And Corey and I will be together watching that fight this weekend, so we'll see what's going down. Let's talk about this main event. I'm a big Michael Chiesa guy. I'm a big fan. I'm a big fan of the guy. I've met him a couple times. He's a cool dude. But Neil Magny's a dog, man.
Yeah.
Neil Magny's a dog. Corey, who you got in this one?
I think it's an incredible style matchup. I think if it stays clinching and not to the ground, I think Neil Magny is the one that 100% is able to pull it off. I think once it actually goes to the ground, you've seen where Chiesa is able to really dominate some people from the top position. And he's a really good, powerful wrestler. So I kind of lean towards the Maverick in this one, honestly.
All right. Like I said, I think Neil Magny is going to be a problem. Don't get it twisted. I think he's going to be a problem, but like I said, I think Chiesa has looked good. There's a reason that he's ranked where he is.
Yeah.
So, like I said, for me, I think Chiesa wins this one. I think he's going to catch him by submission.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
You think Chiesa is going to get the submission? Is that what you said?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what I completely agree. I think he's going to wrestle him and get to top position and essentially
I think it's going to happen in some kind of scramble, even if he gets dropped or something.
Yeah,
okay.
I got Chiesa in this fight too. I don't know why I was leaning more toward decision because I feel like Neil Magny's not easiest guy to finish. Obviously, he's a dog.
No.
He's been there with the best of them. So I'm gonna go with Chiesa, but I think it'll go decision, honestly. So I think you're gonna see 5 rounds of a great fight, to be honest.
Yeah, I think it's a great matchup. I really do like the matchup itself. Both guys really surging in the rankings in the last couple years. Neil Magny's only loss was to somebody who actually just lost on the last card, Santiago Ponzinibbio. Michael Chiesa, undefeated since he's moved up to 170.
Yeah,
it's a perfect matchup to see who's essentially going to make their way towards title contention.
Yeah, definitely great move for Chiesa going to 170 because if Kyle, you met him, he's probably one of the biggest lightweights you've probably ever seen. So he's a big boy. So I mean, moving to 170 is great. And also, just a quick note, I know we're running out of time. You said a fight to look for is it Umar Nurmagomedov, Khabib's cousin?
Yep.
He's a dog, man. He's a beast. So look out for him to fight as well.
Khabib, my cousin, yo.
Yeah, Khabib,
my cousin.
Yeah,
Don't make me get my cousin.
Well, also, if we're talking about siblings here, we got Davison Figueiredo's brother on this card as well.
Oh, okay, that's
right. Don't make me get my brother.
He's making his UFC
flyweight debut.
well.
Oh, yeah, brother versus brother in one day. That'd be nice. We won't get into that, but it'd be nice one day. Why not?
It'd be interesting, wouldn't it?
It would be crazy, right? Yeah. Go ahead, Kyle. Sorry, my man.
You're all good, man. I'm just talking shit. But, look, man, it's good to have the UFC back. Don't get me wrong. I want to see the Chiesa fight. But I ain't gonna hold you up. What I'm looking forward to is this Saturday.
Yeah, absolutely.
I ain't even gonna hold you up.
Yep.
No, it's a great fight, man.
No disrespect to that card at all. I'm gonna watch it, but I'm just saying what I want to see is this Saturday. And I've got plenty to say about the McGregor fight. And if you guys have got plenty to say about the McGregor fight, stay tuned because I'm going to be putting out something within the next couple days to talk about, when we're going to be doing our picks, predictions, and pre-show bullshit for McGregor versus Poirier. Mitchell, I appreciate you sharing the post, kind sir. And hey, if you guys are new here, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Like I said at the beginning of the show, breaking news, I'm headed back down to Pele Pro Wrestling, Arlington, Texas. It was a great time. If you missed it, you can check it out for just $10 on Fight TV, man. The same thing you would have paid to get in the building. You pay $10. You watch it from the comfort of your own home. You watch our homie El Rudo de las Chicas, Sam Adonis, get the Pele Pro Wrestling Championship. and we got into some other things that I can't talk about on the show, but just know and be rest assured, it was a good time. And like I said, check out that vlog. The link to that will be in the description as well. You'll get to see exactly what went down when we took our hand and tried axe throwing. Yes, axe throwing, and we made axes of ourselves. See what I did there? But Kev got himself the win when we went all three of us at the same time. But I won the one-on-one games, so that makes me the champion. Hot damn it.
It looks harder than it looks. Actually, when I saw it, I was like, "Yeah,
dude! Oh my god,
it looks harder than I anticipated."
So the first one, you can see it in the video. Like I said, the first one when I got ready to throw it, I played baseball for most of my life, and I still played softball. Like last year was the first year I haven't played in a long time.
Right.
Oh my god, dude! I grabbed a hold of that axe and just threw it like a baseball because the guy's like, "Yeah, you just throw it overhand." Well, I can throw overhand, and I threw it. I'm like. I threw it and it hit the board and came back so hard because I threw it that hard. It came up the whole damn axe range. And I'm like, oh shit, moving out the way. Like I said, check out that video. You'll see plenty of it. But Devin was the quickest one to get it. But what worked for me was like the overhead tomahawk. See,
that's what I was about to say.
I saw that.
Back and let it kind of tilt and then just whop.
Is what style worked most with you? Because my flashback to the past, my grandpa back when I was a kid used to have us do this. Me and my cousins, me and my girl cousins would go out there and throw axes at like 7, 8 years old.
Y'all lumberjack motherfuckers. Now I know what, man.
I've never done axe throwing, but I can't relate to it yet. But if I do, I'll let you guys know how it goes.
Corey, me and Kevin already decided that there needs to be a round 2 of this. So at some point, I feel like we need to do this. And there will be some kind of footage, I'm sure, recorded of it. Hey, who knows? We're headed
the
back down
uncrowned
to
champ's
Texas.
coming. Don't worry.
Hey, we're headed back down to Texas in February. Who knows? We might see if we can golf. Well, I can tell you one thing. I can't golf. But, hey, Texas was a great time. Shout out to Kyle Hessler for letting us come in. Shout out to Sam Adonis, Garrison Creed, Beastman. Check out the interview in there with Beastman. Yeah, it was good. It was good times in Texas. It was great to see Devin. A little bit cooler than I thought it would be in Texas, to be honest, though.
I thought you said Devin was a little bit cooler than you thought beforehand, but you know, don't mind me. I'm joking, man. Shout out to big guy Devin, man. Much love, brother.
Hey, man. Shout out to Devin. Shout out to Kevin. Kevin's first time on a plane, and he fucking survived.
Wow. Did he cry about his ears popping a couple times?
No.
I feel like everybody's first flight.
No, Kev handled it like a G.
Man, first time on a plane during the pandemic out of all times, right? Isn't that odd? Oh,
we're trying all new things in the pandemic, and what we're also trying to do is bring you the best quality entertainment. That's why you need to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, follow button, all of them, because next week we've got the return of Bobby Nasty Nash ahead of his fight for XFC in the second round. If you didn't know, he put a man to sleep. All right, he put that man to sleep. And now he's facing Ryan Dixon. We're going to show you the preview video next week before we get to Mr. Bobby Nash. So make sure you check us out next Tuesday so we can hear how Bobby's feeling going into XFC. And again, stay tuned. We're going to figure something out. There will be a pre-show for the Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier fight. So until next time, in the in-between time,